Okay, well, hello and welcome back. Hope you guys are having a nice day right now. I'm gonna do a little bit of a recap on what happened yesterday and kind of talk strategically, or at least what I see as strategic, about some of the things that I saw that didn't really work. Um, in yesterday's game, we were playing 2v2, 1500 apiece, Wood Elves and Dwarves on the left-hand side here versus Warriors of Chaos and Vampire Counts. Um, Clearly, they have a much the Warriors of Chaos and the Vampire Counts are a much more powerful attacking combat-oriented um, group of armies there. Uh, Dwarves are pretty cool. Wood Elves, you know, you have to play a little carefully with them because I was playing with the Dwarves as my partner. I took just about a completely forest spirit list, as about as heavy fighting as I could go. And you could see that right in the middle here, I put my big unit of Treekin right next to his Iron Breakers, right next to my general, who is a Treeman Ancient. We very carefully lined them up, um, but I'll get back to that in a second to protect ourselves, yeah. But you can see these are his units here moving forward, and their units. The two big units of zombies, a unit of Crypt Ghouls in the back, a big one, and then a massive, massive unit of Knights. There's a few issues here. First off, they took far too long getting into combat. This is already turn 3, and this might even be the beginning of turn 4. I might have stuff a little bit out of order just to make my different points. I think this is turn 4. But they've moved really far up. By now they've already charged out their Vampire Lord, who would have been just in front of that unit in the middle there. And we were able to shoot him down, standing all alone. That's the kind of thing you just can't do. Moreover, the point of these armies is to get them into combat. I mean, we pulled back slowly, um, making them come to us. But if say the vampire counts come charging up, send one unit up there, that's going to be a big tar pit. You have to choose your battles and pick them carefully, but you get that unit in, and that forces the opponent to countercharge to try to get in there because one unit alone is never going to beat a unit of regenerating zombies or crypt ghouls. The one unit may even lose due to static combat resolution. So it's the kind of thing that, you know, you get those guys into combat, you pick one, you get them up there, and then you can charge, countercharge, flank charge, do all that stuff, get flank bonuses, and really win by combat resolution. You have your knights here. They have to get into combat, and they have to get in combat that they're going to win. We set up here, so knowing that they'd want to charge them with the knights, so they'd have to charge the Iron Breakers, which you're going to see in a second. They've charged in the Iron Breakers. Iron Breakers are really tough. You have to be really careful. We had initially a static combat resolution of 7. We'd lost a couple of ranks here, but that still gave us a static combat resolution of 5 or 6. We did 1 wound, so that gave us a huge, huge, huge amount of just static combat resolution, and that's really hard to overcome with sheer wounds. So we ended up beating them by 3 or 4 and won combat. They hung around with nearby general and stuff, but you also want to make sure that you keep your general in there. They had a pretty decent warrior lord general. You know, nothing crazy, but he had 8 attacks, 8 strength 5 attacks, weapon skill 7 or whatever. That can just do a lot of damage. That can just do a ton of damage. You know, you accept the challenge with your champion and you deal out a whole host of wounds, however it rolls out. But because that didn't happen, we were able to flank charge with the Treeman Ancient, declare a challenge with Annoyance of Netlings, crush there. All the impact hits, not impact, but stomp and thunder stomp, just made a huge, huge, huge difference, won that combat. So you want to be really careful with that sort of thing. Right now, we're moving on to talk about some of the really great stuff. The Hell Cannon here, I don't have a better picture of it, so I'm just doing this big pan out. But the Hell Cannon was superb. I don't know if they have to keep moving into combat, but that catapult alone devastated. Took out almost half of our Iron Breakers. Just find whatever works and keep using that. Keep firing that Hell Cannon to take out just take out a unit. You take out that whole unit of Iron Breakers, that's 400 points right there. You just keep firing. So they thought the game was over when we beat their knights, but they had 2 more rounds of shooting and they could have done it. Another big mistake here was to let the dryads charge into the Cairn Wraiths. Flank charge into Cairn Wraiths. Cairn Wraiths are amazing, but they're ethereal, and so they have low toughness. My higher initiative and my high strength and magical attacks means that I eat them up. That unit of 5 can go waste a whole unit of dwarves, Glade Guard, whatever, but they can't deal with magical attacks. That 1 unit of 5 could destroy a unit of Iron Breakers. Just take your time. So, it all comes down to setup, how you're preparing, what your game plan is. You can see here that the Dwarves and Wood Elves, we set up setting everybody right in close. We set them in a straight line, so clearly what that means is that we're expecting to be charged. Once that big charge comes, and we looked at their unit of knights, which was 8 models wide, or 9 with BSB and general, and it was just craziness. So we set up here so that it would not be stuck with just the Iron Breakers taking the charge, or just anybody, but they'd all be in charge range. We're also next to a Grail Chapel, so we got regeneration. So you got to understand that there's going to be ward saves, armor saves, occasionally regeneration. Look at the whole thing and really measure whether you can win that combat before you go charging in. And on our part, we definitely should have taken 1 beefed up bolt thrower and called it good, because we couldn't hit with them, and if you can't hit with bolt throwers on ballistic skill, you're always rolling long distance. It makes it really tough. I hope you guys have found this beneficial. If you have any questions, I will try to elaborate more. Thank you very much for listening.